And here we go. Now, 4.1 and 4.2 are going to be talking about the following things. Right now, I'm trying to, there we go. 4.1 and 4.2 are going to be talking about correlation, causality, slope, and equations. Now, what is a correlation? A correlation is basically seeing a pattern. Correlation is seeing a pattern, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. Causality, cause and effect. Now, I will tell you right now, 4.1 and 4.2 is about 70% reading. Okay? So let's just go ahead and write that down. You know, write that down. 4.1 and 4.2 is about 70% reading, context, and common sense. And only about 30% math. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you that right now because I don't want you to think that you're going to, you know, you're going to have a hard time in 4.1 and 4.2. The only people that have a hard time in 4.1 and 4.2 are the people that don't read 4.1 and 4.2. Slope. M is equal to delta y over delta x, which is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now, all of you have had algebra before, and y'all know how to do the slope, and we will do that today.
Your son is a parasite.
Hold on a minute.
No, it's fine. That's all I have to say. He's a parasite.
Okay, so, you know, there's the slope, and then the point slope equation y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1.
You're freezing
Now,
up a little bit.
I'm sorry, what?
You're freezing up.
I don't know why I'd be freezing up because...
It's not your video, it's the projection.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing it. Hold on a second. Let me make sure. My son's playing on PlayStation, so there's no telling that PlayStation. I wish I could throw it in the creek. Things that and cell phones is the worst things ever invented. Anyway, cell phones, not cell phones where you can just call people, but just cell phones, period. I ain't gonna say nothing. All right, so anyway, these are your four areas right here, 4.1 and 4.2. I think this is 4.1, and this right here is 4.2. Now, what is correlation? Correlation is seeing a pattern. I'm going to show you an example here. Here is correlations. Now you can draw three graphs, draw three graphs on your notebook paper. And these are three test questions right here. These are three test questions right here. So you might want to write them down. Don't write down any words. I just want you to draw the graphs. You got one graph with a bunch of dots, and they're going left to right up. You got one graph with a bunch of dots, and they're going left to right down. And then you got one with a bunch of dots, and it's just going horizontal line. Now we're going to talk about all three of these things here in just a second.
Okay, well, don't change it. So I'm
I'm fixing to tear it up and throw it in the floor.
Well, you better not. I'm gonna come through this computer. You
Oh
know
my
I'm
Lord.
slow.
Threatening
You know
the
I'm
teacher.
slow.
Threatening the teacher.
Yeah. I'm scary, ain't I? Does that say number 2 where you wrote on top of the line? Does that say negative correlation?
Yeah, but you don't have to write it, but that's fine. You can go ahead and write it if you want to.
Okay.
And I'm highlighting the line in yellow. Now, those lines that you see, I'm not going to write anything. Everything's already there. Those lines that I highlighted in yellow, they're called the line of best fit, or they're called line of regression. It is a line that shows correlation. And correlation is pattern. I see an upward pattern here. I see a downward pattern here. And I see no pattern here. Pattern can be used with correlation. There's a correlation. Now, there is a relationship between slope and correlation. Write that down. I'm going to put it in red at the top of the page. There is, ooh, that red's too. Let me see if I'm, no, that's too thick. There is, I'm gonna have to get some more markers. Hold on a second. Let's see. I got a new box here. I'll see if I can find the red one. I don't see one. All right, I'll have to use this one. There is a relationship between correlation and slope. And that correlation is basically the sign of the slope and the correlation. I'm going to try to make this a little bit focused. Hold on. I don't know why it's getting out of focus. Is that better?
Yeah.
It's supposed to do autofocus, but the autofocus don't work. I think it's well, there, now it's working. Damn Russians. All right. So here we go. The positive, if you have a positive correlation, that means you have a positive slope. If you have a negative correlation, that means you have a negative slope. That is the relationship between correlation and slope. That is the only relationship between the two. And I put that in red because there is a test question that will ask you that. There is a test question on the test and the homework that asks you that same question. What is the relationship between correlation and slope? Now I'm going to take my pink highlighter and I'm going to highlight this property that, there we go, this property of correlation. R is called the correlation coefficient. Lowercase r is called the correlation coefficient. It's also called the R factor. And the R factor is between -1 and what? +1. Now that's the difference between the correlation coefficient and the slope. The slope can be any number. I'm going to write that down over here to the side. Slope can be any number. But the correlation coefficient is between -1 and +1.
No, he,
Okay. I'm turning the mic back on. You can't talk.
well, they'll be fine. No, he said, I've got some more stuff to do, but I'm gonna go blow up the lawnmower real quick.
Yeah. Okay. So the slope can be any number. Give me an example of the slope. Slope is equal to -5. Slope is equal to -8. Slope is equal to +12. Slope is equal to 3/4. Where the R factor has to be between -1 and what? +1. All right, so there is a relationship, positive and negative. If the slope is positive, the correlation is positive. Here we go. If it's negative, the slope is negative. And if there's no slope, there's no correlation. Now, that's pretty basic. I'm not trying to, you need to know everything that's on this page, you need to know. Because pretty much there's probably 4 or 5 test questions on this one page. Okay? What is causality? Causality is cause and effect. Now, I don't know if any of y'all have seen the Matrix 2, the second Matrix movie? Anybody ever seen it? Yeah, that's right. It's not a
Yes.
animated movie or a movie about comic strip. So y'all haven't seen it. If it's not a comic strip character, I'm sorry, a comic book character or an animated movie, y'all haven't seen it.
What's the name of the movie?
Matrix, the second
Yeah,
Matrix movie.
I've seen it like 500 times.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is 90% of the students haven't seen it because it's not a animated and it's not a Marvel comic movie. So they haven't seen it. All right, so I'm going to type in YouTube. And there's a scene in the movie Matrix 2 restaurant. I don't know how to spell restaurant. Restaurant. That's one of those movies. That's one of those words I cannot spell.
It is hard to
Scene.
spell.
Huh?
It is hard to spell.
And the Matrix 2, this is it right here. I'm just going to show it to you because the French, the guy that owns the restaurant, he talks too much, and it's just so. But he talks about cause and effect. I want to play it right quick. Let me get there. Okay, here's a restaurant. And he rambles on and rambles on. And he talks about drinking French wine. Those two creepy guys are over there. And he talks about drinking wine. And then he says, I know why you're here. You have to watch it. I'm not going to, he talks too much to, I mean, it's just too long and somebody would complain and I don't feel like listening to it. So here we go. Why am I showing you this? Because I'm trying to find my red marker that has disappeared. Now I'm getting mad because the one red marker, there it is. Well, now I'm irritated. All right, causality, cause and effect. This is what he says in the movie. I love to drink wine. What? I drink too much wine? I have to what?
To pee.
That's it. I drink too much wine. I have to pee. Now, why am I pulling that out of a movie for cause and effect? Because this is cause and this is what?
Effect.
Effect. Cause and effect. If I load my car or my vehicle with people, what will happen to the gas mileage? I don't know how to spell mileage. Will go down. Cause and effect. If I do something, it will cause something. Now, I'm going to give you an example, and I've been using this example for years. Now, here's where the common sense and context comes in. Now, I want everybody to listen to what I'm fixing to tell you. Let's say that I work at a movie theater. And if you've had me before in 120, Miss Gill, you probably already heard this. But if I work at a movie theater and I'm doing a project for my math class, and one of the movies that's playing at the movie theater is called Con Air by, remember Nicolas Cage? Nicolas Cage.
Us 80 babies do.
Yeah. And here is the ticket sales for Nicolas Cage movie for a month. And it looks like this, with an R equal to 0.85. And then I go to the hospital and I pull the records for suicide rates for those same months. Let's say 3 months. Suicide deaths for those same 3 months. And it looks like this. And it has an R factor of 0.82. So I can say in my project that Nicolas Cage movies cause you to what?
Commit suicide.
Okay? And you would say what?
That's bullshit.
Thank you. Miss Kid just used common sense. That's what you have to use. Now, are all of them going to be this straightforward? No. There's one here I'm going to give you in just a second that is going to have a lurking variable. And a lurking variable sometimes is hard to see. Now, here is something you need to write down for correlation and causality. Correlation does not equal causality. But causality equals what? Correlation. Now, you will be asked a question about that on a standardized test. Correlation does not equal causality. I just gave you an example of where I have correlation here and I have correlation here, then that means this causes this. No. You have to use a little bit of common sense and say to yourself, is there any relationship between a Nicolas Cage movie and committing suicide? Now, there may be a few people out there that say, yes, there is. But unless you have seen a Nicolas Cage movie, you can't really say that. I would be in favor of saying, yes, there might be a correlation. But mathematically, there is no correlation. But what if I give you something else? What if I give you this? And I'm fixing to show it to you. Here we go. I got to hide something on it. I don't know. You might be able to see it. I hope not. Write this down. Here is an example that may not be easy for you to see. And this is a question on a test or homework or standardized test. You've got two correlations there. One correlation is drowning deaths within a 3-month period. And the other is death by Rocky Mountain spotted fever, the same 3 months. Now, does drowning deaths cause deaths by Rocky Mountain spotted fever, or does deaths by Rocky Mountain spotted fever cause drowning deaths? No, they have nothing to do with each other. Or do they? Somebody tell me if there is causality here.
No.
Now, between the two, no. But there is causality, and that is because we have a lurking variable.
Hot weather.
Hot weather. Yep.
Swimming.
A lurking variable. Write that down. Now, that is a test question. That's a homework question, and that is a standardized test question. What is a lurking variable? A lurking variable is a third item that ties the two causal correlations together. I drink too much wine, I have to pee. That does not have a lurking variable. Now, it may have a depression. There may be depression there or something. You know, you may be dealing with depression or anxiety. That may be a lurking variable, but not like this. This ties, there's nothing between these two until you introduce a lurking variable. Okay? Now, I have just covered 4.1. Now we're going to cover 4.2. And then we're going to get on the calculator. Now, the good thing about 4.2 is you can actually do the math real easy. Slope and point slope equation. Slope and point slope equation. Slope, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. And these are the questions that you will see on the test. It'll say, I'm going to give you a point. Here we go. 3, 2, and 6, 4. There is your 2 points. And I want everybody to find the slope. And then I want you to find the equation for that line. I'll even give you a hint. X sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Plug and chug. Do the slope first. You got to do the slope first. So go ahead and do it. And if you can't do it, just chalk yourself up as a failure, and you're probably going to fail this test. There's always room for discouragement, right? Nobody's going to talk to me?
Oh, no, I'm here.
Okay, good.
I'm trying to be here.
Thank you, Miss Gill. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and Miss Kidd at least interacting. At least y'all not winged on a pickle. Miss Honey does talk to me before class. She doesn't talk when y'all show. When y'all show up, she clams up. She don't talk. I'm just kidding, Miss Honey. Miss Honey is in the attic. They won't let her out.
I'm currently dog sitting.
Oh, God. You know what I'd do if I was dog sitting? Kick his butt outside.
Do you want us to do this as a decimal?
No, just fractions.
Just a fraction. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also you want us to go. You want us
calculator.
to do the
some of y'all
first
depend
one.
on the calculator way too much. Yeah.
Don't.
Bit dog always barks.
Yes, he does, but that's the way I was taught, so that's how I know how to do it.
So M is equal to parentheses minus parentheses divided by parentheses minus parentheses. Let's say 20 years from now, you come by my house and ask me to do the slope of a problem, and I'm in my wheelchair drooling all over myself. I will put these parentheses no matter if you come to me 2 days from now or if you come for me 20 years from now. Do you know why I put up these parentheses? Because of what Miss Kidd just talked about. There's also decimals, fractions, and negatives. I can give you a -3 and a -2. I could give you a 3/2 and a 1/2. I could give you a 3.1 and a 2.6. You better use these parentheses because you ain't smart. You ain't got to the point to where you don't need parentheses. I've got several degrees and I still use these parentheses. So some of you that think you're important and you don't need parentheses, you're not there yet. So 4 minus 6 or 2 over 6 minus 3. And that's 2 over what? 2/3.
Shit.
Now I'm going to go over here. Somebody pick a point. What point you think I'm going to pick? Am I going to pick 3 and 2, or am I going to pick 6 and 4?
6 and 4.
Actually, I'm going to pick 3 and 2. You know why? What method? KISS method. What is the KISS method? Keep it what?
Simple.
Keep it simple. So I'm going to pick my M is equal to 2/3. And 3, 2 is my X sub 1, Y sub 1. And I want you to plug and chug into the point slope equation and solve for Y. Go ahead and do that if you haven't already. And I'm going to take my handy dandy pink highlight, no, my pink pen, not my pink highlighter. And I'm going to put a pink box around that and draw an arrow right there because there's 2 parts to this problem. First, you got to find the slope. Then you have to find the equation. Y minus parentheses is equal to 2/3 times X minus parentheses. And plug and chug. You got everything right here. You already plugged into 2/3. Now plug in X sub 1, Y sub 1. Y
See,
sub 1
this is what confuses me, because you have y minus y of 1. So if you have two different variables, then you only have one y1, then how do you do that?
Where's Y sub 1?
2.
Goes there. Where's X sub 1?
3.
And now you solve it.
Okay, so
Y minus 2 is equal to 2/3 X minus 3's cancel, leaves with 2. Add 2, add 2. Y is equal to 2/3 X, period. You could put plus 0 if you wanted to, but that's not necessary. Now, this right here should be a little bit of a review. You should be saying to yourself, I remember this. Now, there's two people in the classroom. There's one person that says, I remember it, I'm good with it, and the other one says, I'm rusty. So you have to decide which one you are, but this is prior knowledge. This is stuff that you should know. Okay? Now, the correlation and the causality are things that are probably new to a lot of people, unless you've had probability and statistics before. Now, put all this to the side, because we're done with writing the stuff on paper. Now we're going to go to the handy-dandy calculator and the spreadsheet. And we're going to do these, and I'm going to show you how to do them without doing it, by hand. So there's the calculator, and here's the spreadsheet. I'm going to do both, so that way I make most of y'all happy, because there's always going to be one person that's not going to be happy. So I'm going to try to please most of y'all, but I know that's going to be impossible. All right, so I'm going to type in a few points. I'm going to make them big where everybody can see it, and then I'm going to type them in the calculator also. So here's my X's, and here's my Y's. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, no, not 5, 6. Well, wait a minute, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 13, 14, 15, and that's 12 numbers. That's 12 points. So let's go to Y's, and I'm just going to type in some. Let's go with 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 5, 8, 9, 7, 11, and 12. Okay, punch those in your calculator. Stat, edit, L1 and L2, punch them in. I'll try to do it with you. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 13, 14, and 15. I'm going to go up to, there we go, 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 5, 8, 9, 7, 11, and 12. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do, everybody got them typed in? I'm going to show you what we are doing on the Excel spreadsheet first. Notice I didn't say I'm showing you how to do it on the Excel spreadsheet. That's not what we're doing. I'm showing you what 4.1 and 4.2 is all about. This is what 4.1 and 4.2 is all about. You're going to highlight, if those of you that know how to use Excel, you're going to highlight those two columns. Now, if you know Excel, then you need to write down insert. And you see that scatter plot right there? That's called a scatter plot. There it is right there. This is called a scatter plot. So I want you to make a little note in your notes of what a scatter plot looks like. It's just got a bunch of dots. There it is. That's a scatter plot. Now, you should be able to do a scatter plot on your calculator or your Excel spreadsheet for the test. So make sure you know what a scatter plot looks like. Now, for those of you that know Excel, watch this. I'm going to right-click on one of the dots. Doesn't matter where. Right-click on one of the dots. And go down to Add Trendline. And we're just going to deal with linears. In Math 120, we deal with linears, so just leave it at linear. And go down to the bottom and hit Display and Display. And get out of that. There is what we're doing in 4.1 and 4.2 right there. We'll make it bigger. Write this down. R is equal to 0.622x plus 1.1714. That is the equation of that dashed line right there, which is called the line of best fit or the line of regression. So write that down. Now, R squared is equal to 6864. We don't want R squared. We want what? We want R. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to put right here, well, I can't. I'm going to put down here, R is equal. And what if I want to find R? What am I going to do to that 0.6864? What am I going to do to it?
Take the square root.
Take the square root or raise it to the 0.5 power. 0.6864 raised to the 0.5 power. Okay, well, raised to the 0.5 power. Hold on a second. Equals. There we go. Now, what is important?
So you added, basically you added the X and the Y up to get the mean, right? The Y is equal to the.
We ain't doing the mean no more.
Okay, you lost me. Is this because you're doing the Excel, or how did you get those numbers?
You got to not talk while I'm, nothing. You right click on the dot.
I don't do Excel. So, I mean, I have the calculator.
Well, that's why I'm showing you on this first.
Okay. Just making sure I wasn't involved.
The reason I'm showing you this is because I want y'all to see where we're heading with this. Okay, now, what is important with the Excel spreadsheet and the calculator? I can't highlight it, but the Y is equal to that. That is what you're going to be tested on, and this is what you're going to be tested on. So, and the plot. You're going to need to be able to plot the scatter plot and the line of regression. So those are four things that you need to be able to do either with the calculator or the Excel spreadsheet or by hand. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do the line of regression by hand because that math is tedious. You'll see an example here in just a second. It's very, very tedious, and I'm not going to ask you to do it. And you're welcome. All right. Now, does anybody have any questions with the Excel spreadsheet before I go to the calculator? So draw the chart plot, draw the line of regression, the Y is equal, and the R factor. Those are the four things that I want. So here we go with the handy dandy calculator. I have put my numbers in, and now I'm going to go to Stat, Calculate, and write this down. Number 4, linear regression. MX plus B. It says AX, but why do I say MX? Because you have been learning algebra for how many years? 2 or 3 years? And what do we always call the straight line? Y is equal to MX plus B. So what do they do when you get to probability and statistics? They change the M to an A, which is ridiculous. So I'm going to say y is equal to mx plus b. Is that okay with everybody? Well, I don't really care. I'm going to do it. Calculate.
Quick question. When we put the variables, do they need to be in order like we did with the other ones? No, they don't have to be. Okay.
Yeah, do not. Okay, let me go ahead and tell y'all all this right now. We are in the probability section. Everything that you learned in the previous unit, just put that to the side now because you're going to see that later. You're not going to, it's different. You're not going to put anything in order. You're not going to find the mean or the standard deviation or anything like that. Put that to the side right now. Okay, this is just nothing but algebra that you've learned, pre-algebra and algebra 1 and algebra 2 maybe. All right, hit calculate. Where did you go, Miss Kidd?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Something wrong with your video? All right.
No, I'm eating dinner while I'm doing school.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't figure you wanted to sit here and see me eat.
No, I'm sorry. We having to have a class in your dinner. All right. And there you go. Look at there. What is M? M is 622. What is M here? 622. What is my B? What is my y-intercept? 1.17. 1.17. What is R? 0.8285. R, 0.8285. Now I'm going to show you how to plot it. So you just found y is equal to mx plus b. Now, what do you do about rounding decimal points? Well, you read the directions on the question, and it'll say round to 3 decimal points or 2 decimal points, and that means M and B. Y is equal to mx plus b. M is 0.622. B is 1.17. Plug those in and give them the R is 0.8285. So that's how you find those numbers. Now let's plot it.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah, but somebody will break an anvil with a banana. Just wait. Now, hit second. Y is equal. This is how you plot these points, these blue points right here that are on the Excel. This is how you plot them on your calculator. Right now, that's stat plot. This means that I'm going to statistically plot something. I got to turn it on. It's already on 1. So go ahead and hit enter. And click enter for on. You got to turn the graph on. It is already defaulted to a chart plot. That's a chart plot. That's a line plot. That's a histogram. That's a box plot. That's the box plot with the mean. And that looks like, I don't know what that is. All right. It automatically defaults to L1 and L2. So what you do is just always type yours in L1 and L2 and hit graph. Now, right now, I've got something in my y is equal, so I'm just going to go, hold on a second, I'm going to clear that and hit graph. Can't see all the points. So what do? You hit zoom 9 for stat, and there's your points. I'm going to do it one more time. Here we go. Second, y is equal. If you look above, it says stat plot. That's what you're hitting. I'm going to click on the first one because that's the one I always use. You can use any one you want, but I'm going to use the first one. I'm going to click on. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to make sure I'm at box plot, and then I'm making sure that this says L1 and L2, and then I hit graph. And there it is. If you don't see it, you hit you hit zoom and 9. 9 is for what? Stat, which means statistics. I just hit 9, but you can scroll down and hit it. And there's your points, just like right here. Well, Hubert, what about the line? Well, you got to punch it in. So now we're going to hit y is equal and type in 0.622. 622x plus 1.1714. And graph. And there's your line, just like right here. So now you can match this up with whichever's on your homework or your test question. And it may ask you for the equation of that line, which is right here, or it may ask you for the correlation coefficient. And you should feel good about yourself. All right, so let's do a nerd. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to let y'all do this one. X and Y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, and 15.
So when you said
what?
When I went to graft it on my calculator, it won't. My calculator, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but the scatter plot's lit up, and the X list only says L1.
Okay, I'm without seeing it, I don't know. What's it? You should have an L1 and L2.
How do you put L2 in there?
It should be right beside L1.
No. I can scroll down and go out to the side and hit second L2 and it pops
up. It should be when you hit. I don't know what's wrong with your calculator. What kind of calculator you got?
TI 83 plus.
Yeah, you should have. When you hit stat, you should hit edit, and there should be a L1 here and a L2 here. You don't have a L2 here?
Yeah, I got that, and everything's in there. Yeah.
Okay, what's the problem? Tell me again.
So I got that far, and then you said hit stat calculate number 4 and hit enter.
Stat calculate number 4.
All right, then I get the line, the linear.
Scroll down. It should say L1 and L2. What does yours say?
Linear regulation y a b equals 2, r squared equals such and such, and r equals such and such. And at the bottom it says L reg in parentheses a squared plus b.
Okay, does it have these numbers?
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
then you're okay.
It's different. My numbers are different.
Your A is 0.622. What is your A?
0.536.
Okay, you got something. Check your points. You got something wrong with your points, it sounds like.
Okay, I'll
go back and check
over.
those points. You may have points down below your points that you've punched in. You need to clear everything. Clear L, L1, and clear L2, and type these points in. Let's see what you get when you type these new points in. You need to clear everything. Go up to L1 and hit clear and enter, and go to L2 and hit clear and enter. And let's type these in and let's see if you get the same answer. That makes sense? I think you've got some errors or some numbers in there you don't need. Okay, I'm going to go with 2, 3, 5, 5, 6, 8, 8, 10, 11, 13, 17, and 19. Okay, type those in. Have you cleared yours, Miss Kidd?
Yes.
Okay, type these in, and let's see if you get the same thing. I think you either had a number punched in wrong, or there might have been some numbers down below that it was picking up. That's why I wanted you to clear it.
Okay, stat calculate 4 enter. Okay, I got.
Hold on. Everybody else is working and I'm working. Hold on. I'm just going to do it on here.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Okay, here's what I got. See what y'all get. Now we got to do our square root. So hold on. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do the square root equals 0.9669 raised to the 0.5 power. And R is equal to 0.9833. Okay, Miss Kidd, what did you get? Did you get these numbers?
Okay, so is A, does that mean, is A the same thing as Y?
Y is equal to MX plus B.
Yes. And B is 33.95, yes.
And
R squared.
0.3395.
And then R squared is 0.9669. Yes, sir.
Okay, and R should be 0.9833.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think you had a number typed in wrong or something. All right, that's what you need to be able to do. The only other thing is this right here. Hold on a second. The only other thing that you need to be able to do is that last problem we did right there. You need to be able to do that.
Okay.
Now, your homework this weekend, because you should finish your test and your homework tonight by midnight. Isn't it tonight by midnight?
The 25th, yes, sir.
Okay. Y'all need to be reading 4.1 and 4.2 and start working on the homework. Now, you do not have to finish it by Tuesday, but you need to have some questions sent and you need to have some of it done. You should have all the reading in 4.1 and 4.2 done by Tuesday. Because I don't want you coming in going, well, what's correlation really mean? You know, read it. Okay? Who's got questions? Okay, I want y'all to have a good weekend, finish those tests and homework, and I will see y'all Tuesday, and we'll go over anything else that y'all need for 4.1 and 4.2 and move on to Chapter 5. Oh, Chapter 5 is 80% of your next test. Or what is it? Yeah, Chapter 5. 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.5. We're going to skip, write this down, skip 5.4 and 5.6. So you might want to write that down. We're going to skip 5.4 and 5.6. So you got 2 sections of reading and this little bit of math. And then you've got 4 sections of probability that's going to make up 80% of your test.
Okay.
All right. Y'all get out of here and have a good weekend.
Thank
You
you.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. I'm out of here.